Regular Winslow Town Council meeting for Monday, April 10th, 2023. Recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Chairman, I'd like to apologize for missing the school department meeting last Monday.
That's fine.
I had my eyes dilated and I'm not gonna drive.
Okay, Jerry.
Roll call vote, Dale Macklin,
Here.
Jerry Kurian,
Yep.
Ray Karen,
Here.
Joseph Gravel,
Here.
Jeff West,
Here.
Lee Trahan,
Here.
and Peter Dreppo.
Here.
Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, March 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Jeff or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I couldn't hear you. Dale Macklin?
We gotta have discussion.
Oh, sorry.
Discussion on last month's minutes. Being none. Your turn.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian,
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Joseph Gravel,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Dreppo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Communications for employee recognition for the fire department.
Good evening, Chairman Drapo and Town Manager Roy. Thank you for letting me present this award to a very fine individual and a very good employee. To this month's appreciation award from the fire department is going to Jeff Rennie. So if Jeff can come up. A little bit about Jeff. I'm sure most of you know a lot more about Jeff than I do, but here, Jeff, this is your award. Thank you.
We need a picture, guys.
So Jeff first joined the Winslow. Jeff first joined the Winslow Fire Department as a call force member in 2004. He was promoted to call force lieutenant.
Get up there so she can get your picture.
All right.
So hard to get you guys. There we go. Smile. Good job.
You can sit down now, yeah.
So Jeff was hired as a career firefighter in December of 2015 and promoted to the rank of lieutenant 6 months later. Jeff is currently assigned to C shift as a fire lieutenant and paramedic. Jeff takes on many roles within the fire department, such as the department's coordinator for our quality assurance and improvement program. Because of Jeff's passion for EMS, emergency medical care, and the quality of care that we provide, and always looking to improve our providers' ability to render excellent care, the Winslow Fire Department has the gold standard as far as the standard when it comes to quality assurance and improvement. This is just a small part of what Jeff does. Jeff also takes on a role of supervising the ordering of all EMS equipment and supplies. He coordinates many of our EMS trainings and is often teaching these trainings. Basically, the fact of the matter is Jeff does a lot for this department and is an irreplaceable asset. And I want to thank Jeff for his hard work and his commitment to the department. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Nick Champagne from KSTD, update on the bio solid disposal.
there. Nick Champagne, Superintendent of Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District in Waterville. I came here today at request of Erica, trying to give an update on the biosolid disposal issue that we've been dealing with over the past month. For those that hadn't seen it, I had sent out a letter about early March or late February timeframe. There's been a few articles in the paper about it. Essentially, those facilities contracted with Casella for disposal up to Juniper Ridge were affected with some sort of biosolid disposal issues, essentially. Basically what happened was that LD 1639, a bulking waste legislation, reduced the amount of bulking waste that they had at their facility to mix with our biosolids. In turn, we've been charged an additional fee simply because they needed to find another outlet for most of the biosolids that were headed to Juniper Ridge to try to reduce the percentage headed to the landfill. Majority of it now is going to, or a portion of it, couldn't speak to what percentage, is headed up to New Brunswick for disposal. Our biosolids are still going to Juniper Ridge, but collectively everyone's paying the same fee. Our fee has it's over doubled since August of last year. Two separate pieces of legislation have affected that. And one of the biggest questions amongst the district members is what's that cost going to be burdened on the sewer ratepayers. And the fact of the matter is that over the past month, we've been cautiously stable. So that last month of February, early March, we had about a week or so where we weren't disposing of our biosolids. We typically send about 60 wet tons up to Juniper Ridge on the daily. And that's about 2 big tractor trailer loads essentially up to Juniper Ridge. But due to the slowdown, we did not receive 1 truck in about a week. So we were backing up in our tanks to be able to dispose of this biosolid material. Since about March 7th, March 8th, the fee has gone into place and they've actually opened up and sent most of the biosolids up to New Brunswick. That is not a long-term solution. I wanted to come here today to kind of give you a little bit of an update as far as what I know. My understanding is that the state legislators, including actually Representative Scott Searway, was a big proponent of it, looking to do something on the legislative side. And I'm hopeful that maybe there'll be some sort of resolution at some point amongst the E&R committee and the state legislature to be able to relax the requirements on 1639 and potentially buy us some time to be able to seek some additional solutions. Over the past month, we've been looking at emergency options for biosolid disposal. There's really not a lot of options in the state of Maine. In fact, I know of 2 or 3 right offhand, and those ones are very difficult. You have to go through a testing process in order to be able to send your biosolids there. So we're in a situation right now where we're waiting for the state. The state is working on a biosolids master plan management program across the state for regional biosolid disposal solutions. We're hopeful that a study like that will probably take likely about a year, and we won't know the results of that until that point. Coinciding with that, Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District is undergoing a comprehensive plant evaluation. We're reviewing all of our processes, including dewatering and biosolid disposal. We're going to be working with the state on potentially attaching our report to their regional biosolid disposal option. There's some cost benefit to that in the fact that we're kind of in the central Maine region, so we could potentially save some money on that front. The biggest question amongst district members is again the budget impact, and I didn't have an answer for Erica when she asked, how's this going to impact us this year? So with this LD 1639, we're seeing if I were to have budgeted it this year, we would have had another $500,000 in our budget just to cover that expense alone. This past bill in March, we noticed that our biosolids have actually been trending down, so we're actually paying less to Casella in terms of volume. The fee is just substantially larger. So I mean, we're still sending our biosolids to where they need to go, to the rate that we need to send them. But we're still waiting for some answers from the state and potentially some relaxing again on that legislation. So I just wanted to kind of give that quick, brief update. It's not a big one, but I also wanted to have an opportunity for the counselors or any members of the public that were curious if they have any questions. So, by all means.
You've answered any question I've had. Go ahead, Eric.
So, Nick, you and I talked, and
Yes.
I know things are really in flux right now, but based on the original letter that you had sent right before I presented budget to council,
Yeah.
we were looking at approximately a $56,000 bump to our budget.
Yep.
Based on the fact that we don't know where this is gonna go, is it reasonable to leave that in there as a hedge? I'm kind of getting that it's not safe to take it out even though the volume is down.
Right. So, a process as far as the legislation is concerned is going to take a few weeks. So if there's any modifications to a bill or a new bill being proposed, we likely won't know until about 3 or 4 weeks. Even that being said, there's always some opposition and potentially it might die in committee. So we really don't know if that's going to go anywhere. I remain hopeful that by the end of the year I can tell you otherwise. But as of right now, I'm telling district members to be prepared for that additional expense. Our budget year goes calendar year, by the way, for those that don't know. It ends on December 31st, and we're required to provide that budget and bill to the district members and community by March 1st of every year. And so basically, what's going to happen is the way our budget works is that we charge the district members based on a 3-year average for the budget coming up. And then at the end of the year, we figure out all of our expenditures and we give a 1-year use. So we do sampling every week. So total suspended solids, BOD, and flow are calculated every week. And the district members are charged based on that 1-year use. So your surplus is actually probably going to go down substantially. So that's what I was saying, is that that money is going to be captured on the surplus. So where typically we might be giving back somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 separated to those district members, that number could go down substantially if this fee increase doesn't go away. So we have some mechanisms. We have some contingency in our budget to be able to soften that blow. But come next year, if this continues through to next year, for sure, there's going to be substantial increases across the board. And we're looking at our budget hard to try to figure out what means we can take out. We flatlined it with the exception of fuel increases, electrical increases, and this biosolid disposal increases. Our budget, if you look at it, has been flatlined over the past couple of years. So trying hard.
Ray has a question. We also have a question from Councilor Ray Karen. He wants to know, are the biosolids from anaerobic digestion?
No, they are not. No, we have no anaerobic digestion at our facility. We are looking into it as a potential option to reduce volume. That's a very good question. So basically, anaerobic digestion will actually reduce the volume 30–40%, depending on the makeup of the particular biosolids. But the problem is that we don't have those facilities set up yet. There are some across the state, but not at our facility.
Through the chair, where is Juniper Ridge?
Juniper Ridge, I believe it's in Alton, which is basically in Old Town, up in the Old Town region. It's a state-owned landfill, last state-owned landfill in the state. And Casella is the one that has the managing contract rates for that.
So you got a truck, everything, from Waterville up there, that's about 8 miles.
Yeah, and there's, to be quite honest, Jerry, the only other options that are being considered that I've heard tossed around are potentially putting it on rail, sending it out of state on rail. You can imagine the substantial cost difference of sending it out of state in that regard. Sending it out of country is, as we're seeing right now, is a pretty substantial fee hike. Right now, I do know the good work that the DEP has been working on, along with Maine Water Environment, our association that we're a part of. They've been working on trying to find beneficial reuse of bulky waste in the state of Maine itself, curtailing it from the landfill and trying to supplement Juniper Ridge so that we can mix that bulky waste material with the biosolids. There are different types of other bulky waste that you can use. You can use gravel and other items, but or other materials. But the problem is that you have to use more of it, it's a bigger ratio, and so thus you're taking up that airspace in that landfill. I'm not a landfill expert, but over the past month, I've grown to learn a lot more about it than I probably cared to, but you have to have a basic understanding of it to understand, some of the challenges they're up against as well. Very good questions.
Tim?
Anyone else?
Well, thank you very much for having me and letting me speak to you today. Any questions at all, please feel free to reach out, and more than welcome to come down for a tour, and I can show you the facility.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boards and committee appointment, Kim Clifton, Board of Assessment Review. Last month, we appointed her. She was filling a term. This will be her full term now.
Second?
Okay, Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Graham,
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Dreffel.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Reports and of committees and commissions, the town manager's report.
Sorry, somehow my speaker got turned on again. I need to turn that off. Okay, another month. This went by quick. We keep going quicker and quicker. So, esteemed counselors, members of the public, March was a very productive month. It went by quick because we actually got quite a bit done. We kicked off the municipal facilities study. We held 3 full-day-long budget workshops. We held interviews for code enforcement officer, town clerk, dispatcher, and public works foreman. And we issued procurements for an HR and labor attorney and a municipal auditor. It feels like we have actually gotten some stuff done this way and made some progress, which for a while it felt like we just weren't getting there. Start off, the March 1st coffee with the manager was again well attended. Any of you who are in this room and don't already attend, please consider doing so. It's the first Wednesday of every month, and usually we have it right here at the library. May's will actually be down at Maine Crisp. They're going to add in a tour of the facility, and Maine Crisp is actually becoming a rather significant employer in Winslow. So they're going to provide the tour, but they're also going to provide some goodies. So if you haven't checked out Maine Crisp, it's a good opportunity to do that as well as have a chat. On March 9th, I met with the crew from Haley Ward to discuss the needs of the administrative municipal office. We talked about our spatial needs, technology, efficiency, and most important to me, security. They have met with all of the department heads except for Public Works at this point. This is the very first step in actually analyzing what we need. Not that we need a new facility, but that it's what we need going forward. So the first step of determining if we can stay where we're at is, does it have what we need? So this is where we're starting from. We also held budget workshops on March 14th, 16th, and 23rd. This encompassed all aspects of the budget except for the schools. They presented on April 3rd. I want to commend my department heads. I tasked them this year with something a little different. I had all of them do PowerPoint presentations for their budget rather than just reading off line items. I thought they all did a great job, and I would be remiss if I didn't also mention Sherry Fisher. She's the assistant for code and fire, and she also helped out with police's presentation. They all came out fantastic. I think they were very informative and did a good job of capturing the big picture of what's going on in everyone's budgets. That said, there's a lot of uncertainty going into this budget. I referenced Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District in my report as one of them, but we've also lost Somerset County as our PSAP, and we don't know for sure who's going to take over Winslow, although potentially it's Waterville. We do have a preliminary kind of broad estimate for what it will cost to go with them, and it's going to be more than it was before combining Somerset and Waterville. So I know there's going to be considerable cost increase there. We also have ever-increasing energy costs, just like everybody does at home. CMP's cost hikes affect us as well, as do fuel. All of that stuff continues to go up. So the other negative piece of information would be on the revenue side. The sanitation budget, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, I've kind of been harping on it for the last 3 years. We do not have any more of the PERC monies that were from back when we participated in that program. When the town pulled out of that, we had a buyout which left a cache of money. We've been putting $139,000 from that pot of money into the sanitation budget every year. FY23, the year we're in right now, was the last year we had that money, so we're already starting $139,000 short for the FY24 year. Excise tax is trending down somewhat, so that's, if people aren't buying cars because the interest rates are up and there's no inventory to buy, excise tax obviously takes a hit, so that's down a bit. The good news is the townwide revaluation project is likely to see some of the valuations going up, which will limit the amount that we would need to raise the mill rate in order to meet the budgetary needs. And the state revenue sharing figures continue to be above what they were last year, coming in at about 1.7 million. Unfortunately, that won't completely cover our cost increases. There's a huge hole in the capital budget, mostly because we've had extra monies to put towards that in the last few years, and we don't now. The bulk of the increase would be $900,000 coming from that capital budget, and coincidentally, that's the amount of money we had put in the capital budget from the Orion Ropeworks sale. So you can kind of see we don't have those sale of property monies, we don't have any ARPA funds, so we did a lot of capital project with those monies, and now we don't have that. So the answer would have been to put off some pretty critical infrastructure stuff if we didn't want to do that, and I don't think anybody is really advocating for that because it would have come out of our paving and our sewers, which we really can't handle pushing off anymore. Sewer fees haven't been adjusted in almost a decade. They're no longer covering the cost of sewer fees. That's a fee-based system. So my budget proposed a 25% increase to sewer users. So that's if you're on the sewer system, your fees that you pay every quarter support that system. Right now, they're not even covering our operating, much less our capital, and we've got major projects coming with Chaffee Brook and Sunset Heights. It's not something that we can just simply put off on those projects. We already have sewer backups that happen into people's basement. If you've ever been unlucky enough to have that happen to you, it's a pretty unhappy event, and it's a major health and safety issue. So we've got to move forward with these things. The schools are also projecting a fairly significant increase. They did come in a little bit less than what they originally had reported to me because the state came up with some additional funding. They had miscalculated the amount of money that they were giving to the schools. You probably read about it in the paper. Winslow did get additional monies there. But we're still looking overall at about a 1.6 mil increase. The only really good news I have about that is this should be the last time we have to have a really big increase on that scale, because once we fill the hole in capital and the hole in sanitation, then we're kind of caught up, and then it should be just incremental increases that go with rising costs rather than having major increases coming down the line. I should have the full FY 2024 budget posted this week by April 13th. I have to incorporate all the changes that we've had come out of the budgets. That's why I was late today. I was most of the way through and was trying to get it done for tonight, but I just couldn't get it done. Looking forward to projects. Chaffee Brook is currently out to bid. Don't know when we're looking at having that bid opening. Paul, do you know when the bids are due?
Thursday.
Thursday?
This Thursday.
Okay. For some reason I thought that was Cushman Road, but you're right, that already came through. We've also applied for congressional directed spending for Sunset Heights project. We applied with all 3 of our representatives here in the area, which would be Senators King and Collins and Representative Pingree. We put this one up last year. We didn't get it, but we're throwing it up there again. Hopefully we get some money. We got $1 million of this money to help with Chaffee Brook. If we could get that or even a little bit more for Sunset Heights, that would go a long way towards getting that project moving. Comprehensive plan is nearly finished. We met on goals and strategies at the March 22nd meeting, and hopefully we'll be wrapping this up by June because that section is pretty much the last section before we do the final icing on the top, and we can put that one to bed. The Taconic Bridge project is moving forward. Already started this last week. This week, the lane closures are starting. I did have a question about why we don't tell which lane is closing in each direction. It's because I don't know. They're rolling lane closures right now, so, but expect during the day that there will be one lane closed in each direction on the bridge at this point. Full closures are gonna start towards the end of summer. And at that time, traffic will be able to come to Winslow from Waterville, but you won't be able to go from Winslow into Waterville. You'll have to take either the detour down to the Carter Memorial or up to the bridge in Fairfield Benton. I think that we had a really good meeting with the Chinbro folks and MDOT folks last week. We have a very good communication system set up, so I feel pretty confident that our concerns were heard, and we'll take it as it goes moving forward. At least we have a full communications matrix if anything's going wrong, so it'll be a pain no matter what. It's not fun to take out a bridge, but it's a lot worse when one comes crumbling down, so. And last, we finally have some movement on the junior high environmental study. Should have some figures to bring to the board to do the test boring soon. We also did a lot of hiring in the month of March. First one I'd like to introduce, because he is here tonight, is our new code enforcement officer, Jim Flanders. Jim is coming to us from Brunswick, and before that, the town of Pownall. So welcome aboard, Jim. We're really glad to have you. He's hitting the ground running. Audra Fleury, she's been with the town since 2019. She's kind of worked her way up through the ranks. She started in our front office as a deputy tax collector, taking payments and doing the sewer stuff. So now she is our new town clerk permanently. So congratulations, Audra.
Thank you.
Now we have to hire somebody to replace her, which is going to be really difficult. Katie's going to help us out in the interim. She just started up there today, and I'm already noticing that I don't have her sitting outside my office to help me at a call. So on March 27th, Paul Fonchemy and I interviewed 3 candidates for the Public Works Foreman position. Of that group, we extended 2 offers. One is Trevor Tucker, who has been with the town for approximately 14 years. Trevor's moving up from senior equipment operator, and he's going to be training alongside our current foreman, Jean-Pierre Fauché, while he gets ready to retire. So we lose one, we put another one in the place. Carl Morse is our new hire, who will be taking over the parks maintenance and the sewer programs. Carl's a 37-year veteran of the city of Waterville. He started there way back in the day and has moved up to the streets superintendent, and he's been in that position since 1991. So Carl started his first day today, and it's a really good hire for us because he'll be a huge asset. But he'll be taking over parks and sewer. Sorry, I just, okay. On March 30th, the Public Safety Director and the interim Deputy Police Chief brought their candidate for dispatcher up. Her name is Amanda Husson. Amanda had also interviewed for clerk, so I can tell you personally from meeting with her, she is a very, very intelligent young woman. She's currently teaching English at Husson University, and no, that's not a coincidence. She actually is a Husson. Her great-grandfather's founder of the university. So she's going to come on board, and having her level of skill will be a huge help in getting police department through the accreditation process. So very lucky to have her coming on board as well. She should be starting with us on April 17th. So congratulations to all the new hires, the promotions. It's great to have all of you on board. That's pretty much it for the month of March. April, we're looking to close out a couple of procurements. There's going to be a contract on the table for HR and labor attorney and a new municipal auditor. And we've got more procurements still coming out. On Thursday, we're going to close the one for the paving contract. We'll have that bid opening actually the same time as the Chaffee Brook opening, but we'll make it work. And we're going to have the first vote and public hearing on the FY24 municipal budget on April 24th. That will be right here, and that meeting will be dedicated to the budget. So the department heads and I will be doing a full presentation for the public, after which the public will have their opportunity to comment in a public hearing. And after that, the council will take their first vote. So it's another busy month coming up. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Any other department heads want to give a report?
It's up to you, Jim. If you would like to give your report in person since you're here, you're more than welcome to. You're not required to.
Sure, give my chance to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Jim Flanders. I'm the new code officer for the town of Winslow. Pretty excited to be here. I'm moving up from southern Maine. Just stoked to be in this part of the area, part of the state. It's just been a great time, and I've been meeting a lot of great people, and I thank you for the opportunity. As you know, there's been no code officer for over 2 months, and we are struggling to play catch-up right now and make sure that we get all the permits and other business use applications and planning board and stuff all squared away. I'm hoping by the end of this month, we will be back to normal. In the month of March, there were 3 building permits issued. Electrical, there was 5. 2 sign permits, 2 business use permits, and a marijuana use permit issued, with a total revenue of $13.54 for the month. As you also know, we have a new property maintenance code that started on April 1st. We are taking reports on that, and we are putting those in our priority list, and I've started an Excel sheet with the addresses and the complaints coming in. Outside of that, there's really nothing else to report with code. We have a long ways to go to play catch up, like I said, and I'm hoping that with your help, we will be back to normal real soon. If you have any questions or any building issue comments or concerns, feel free to give me a call, or as well, if you have any questions about how we're handling the new property maintenance code, please reach out to me and I can describe what I do on my side of the ordinance. So, besides that, that's all I really have.
Thank you, Jim. Okay.
Scott, you want to do yours?
Yeah, I'll be brief. So in March, the fire department hired Michael Murphy. He is a lieutenant just now. Mike has 22 years of experience with the town of Fairfield. He is a nationally registered advanced emergency medical technician. The fire department also hired Michelle Grass as a per diem paramedic. She's a full-time paramedic and firefighter in Waterville. We are thankful to have her. Captain Waylon Cap received his National Registry Advanced Emergency Medical Technician license as well. Firefighter Crawford and Firefighter Greenberg attended a 2-day training session on the topic of advanced ladder operations, and that took place in Fairfield. Again, Captain Cap and myself attended a 3-day conference at Sunday River, and the theme of this conference this year was on aggressive incident command and aggressive fire attack. It was an interesting take on that system. A lot of the people that come to speak are from larger communities. And then when you come to Winslow, it's a smaller community, smaller department, and they're talking about breaking up ladder companies, and I'm like, I have a ladder driver, you know. I'm hoping that sometime they'll be able to, relate to the smaller communities in Maine versus large cities. But it was a really good conference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, okay, Peter?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, yeah.
The per diem paramedic.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
She's a paramedic level.
Yes, yeah.
So that gives us 3 now. How many hours is she working?
It can vary. Most of the per diem paramedics, when they come to work, they'll work a 24-hour shift. But the shift is broken up into 12 hours. So they'll sign up for a day, or they'll sign up for a night, or they'll do both.
Okay.
So.
So does that in effect give us an extra paramedic for 24 hours a week? That we had before?
Not every day, but
Yeah.
quite often. I mean, the per diem paramedics are coming back, and we're lucky to have the ones that we have. They do a fantastic job. They work great with the crews. The crews like working with them. So we still right now currently have during the day there's 2 paramedics, and sometimes there are 3, depending on if they're working.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other department heads that want to give their report? No? Okay. Now we go to the portion of public comment. Oh, sorry.
So the Finance Committee report is in your packet, and the warrants are there as well.
Make a motion to accept all reports.
Second.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Guerrier,
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay. So for public comment, I do have one letter that was mailed in. And I apologize if I'm saying her name wrong. Shantara Pelosi. She writes to Winslow Town Council, and this is dated April 1st, regarding ordinance number 18-2022. All laws must be fair. Once the roads, sewer, water lines are in good repair, provisions to the poor and destitute in the place, then this ordinance may be enacted. Until then, I suggest strong consideration to postpone, table this unfair, unjust ordinance. For the poor and destitute, feeding and clothing must come first. Possibly offer a list of available tradesmen to work pro bono would be most helpful. Winslow is a community of helpful people. Let us not be blindsided by material things of this world. It would be so small-minded of us. We are a community strong. Let our 6 council members stand with all of Winslow. Sincerely and with concern, Shantara Pelosi, 11 Burt Street, Winslow.
Okay. Under public comment, anybody can get up and talk about anything they would like to that is not on the agenda. You're held to a 3-minute time restraint. Anybody?
Peter, how do you state your name?
Hi, my name is Michael Ostracki. I live here in Winslow. Came here today for the public comment section after I read online about this new town ordinance that I didn't get a chance to vote on as a person in this town. I know it wasn't put to a referendum, but to me it seems like there's people on either side of it online, whether they came here to the meetings or came here when the very vocal people were here that, were the squeaky wheel that got this to be put in place. But it seems to me that if you purchase a piece of property with the, under the laws of the town at the time, it would be unfair to then change the laws to be more restrictive in what you can do with your property without giving the citizens and the taxpayers a chance to voice their opinion via a vote on the issue. The way it's currently written, it doesn't seem like there's any way for public oversight of the people who are making these reports. So you mentioned a PDF that has the addresses and the infractions. If there could be something online, maybe on the town website, just like a link to a Google document, so we could see the people who are making these accusations of property owners, and maybe not the address because you're trying to save the person face if they. We're not trying to shame anybody here, but so we can see if it's just 2 or 3 people that have a lot of time on their hands that are kind of going around saying, well, we want to be an HOA, or if it's really something that's more systemic but has more people involved in the town. Because I think it seems really wrong to allow a few people to basically choose for the rest of the community how they're going to have their property. And I'm not trying to defend things like putting toilets in your front yard or things like that. I understand where they're coming from, but I think that we need to make this an issue where people actually get a chance to voice or have a vote in the matter. I think a referendum on that next time we have a chance to do something like that. I don't know the process, but I think that would be a really good thing moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak about anything? Go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question of the code enforcement officer, if I may.
Yeah.
Jim, how many complaints have we received so far?
Since the 1st of April, we've officially received 11 complaints, and I believe 3 or 4 of them have been from people who own the property from out of state, including one who's never actually stepped foot in the state of Maine.
And that one actually started being cleaned up today.
After
so-
sending them a notice of violation with a fine range of $100 to $2,500, they have now started cleaning up the process, of their property. Their property included having couches and mattresses coming down a hill in a very public area of our town, which is what you first see when you drive in. And it has already been vastly improved
I
so
noticed that
far.
this morning.
What was the address on that?
We're not stating those addresses publicly.
No, okay.
No. As far as posting online, first, have any of the complaints you've gotten so far that you've gone out, have they been unfounded?
Only one, and that was because they didn't have the right address. I couldn't find it. So besides that, every one of the 11 complaints that I've received, excuse me, let me rephrase. I have not looked at all 11 properties yet. I am about 70% through that list. Tomorrow I'll be finishing it up. And out of those, only one has been undetermined. And the rest of them have been full of appliances with the doors still on the appliances. So if a kid ever got inside one of them, they never tipped over, nobody would ever know. And there has been no complaints about anything like grass or weeds at this time. It's just been about an absurd amount of junk on the property. And I'm not talking just 1 or 2 things. I'm talking truckloads of debris and material and junk on property.
And that's what we're going after, folks. We are not talking about you have one item sitting in your yard and you're going to be fined. And your neighbors also, I want to address a couple things. First of all, this was not a response to a handful of people. I've been here 3 years now. I have received numerous complaints. It's been a common topic, and there's a gentleman sitting here in the audience right now that has attended my meetings and been one of the people who's complained about the fact that we cannot do anything when there are complaints of this nature. We have a large, it's not a predominance, but we have a lot of properties that are owned by out-of-state absentee landlords. They've never set eyes on the properties. They don't even know what's going on out there. And a lot of times, all it takes is that one phone call to say, hey, did you know that your property looks like this, and that if you don't clean it up within 30 days, it's a fine. It's not as though we're walking out there first thing and saying, here's your fine, pay me the money. That's not what's going on. The whole effort is initially to educate, to try to work with people that may be having some trouble getting things cleaned up. And yes, if we can hook people up with volunteer groups, we'll be more than happy to do that. These are safety issues. These are not strictly You get 3 minutes,
Yeah,
but these are safety issues. These are not, they're not frivolous. It's not just about people's property values. Certainly, we have people that are upset about unsightly homes next to them decreasing their property values, but every single thing in that property ordinance goes back to a health and safety issue, whether it be vermin, rats, ticks, snakes, whether it be appliances or machinery that can cause harm if you get kids playing around them or are leaking fluids into the ground. Nothing in that ordinance is designed to say that your house has to look perfect. There's nothing in that ordinance says that you need to reside or you need to paint. Nothing like that at all. All it is saying is that you cannot have a property that has got hazards on it because there are people that you are affecting, whether that be your neighbor, whether that be kids that probably shouldn't be on your property, but you know what? The law doesn't care about that. Our job is to provide for the safety of the public. The other thing is, this was well advertised last fall, and I am very sorry if people felt they didn't get the chance to comment, but we had 2 discussions which were publicized. Our agendas go out every month. We also had a public hearing, and we had 2 separate votes. So this was well advertised. And when we put this out on Facebook to remind people that this was coming because it passed back in November, suddenly there's this groundswell of people who are upset. And I'm very sorry, but the right time to get involved is not after the fact. It's when it happens in the beginning. And we are not doing anything in the dark. We are not hiding anything from you. It was actually written up in the Morning Sentinel when we first proposed doing this. There's an article from over a year ago about this. So this was not kept in the dark. And I don't think any of you who are feeling very anxious about this are going to find that this is anywhere near as bad as what you think it is. Might we have some neighbors that have squabbles and you get one calling? Sure, you might. But if your property's not in violation, he's not going to issue a violation. And if it is in violation, the neighbor had every right to call it in. So that's kind of how that works.
Erica, can I make a statement on this?
Up to the chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I have been following along with the social media and reading about all the posts that are being made regarding the property maintenance code. And I can appreciate and respect views on both sides. I truly can. It's not my goal, it's not my intention, and I don't believe it's the spirit behind the code to come up to your house with a ruler and do drive-bys and see what your grass height is. Honestly, if your grass height is 3 feet tall, then yeah, we have a little bit of an issue. But if it's, if it's overgrown because we had a lot of rain that day or a lot of rain that week, especially in the spring, we're not there to just come out and run out and give you a fine. What we're looking to do is to achieve voluntary compliance in terms of we want to work with you. We want to make sure that your property is to a healthy standard for the town, for yourself, and for your neighbors. So with that said, we're looking for, like Erica had mentioned, we're looking for things like your appliances being out in the front yard, 3 water heaters, 5 toilets, and the debris from a construction project that you worked on 20 years ago over the bridge. We're looking for that kind of stuff. If you have, if you have a few things in your yard and it's tidy and it looks presentable, then no, we're not going to be talking to you. But some of these complaints that I've received today alone, 2 separate properties received 2 complaints each from 2 separate people. I know one of the properties because I drive by it on my way home every day. It looks like a bona fide junkyard without a fence. I mean, it is a disaster. And I'm not talking a couple things, I'm talking probably enough to fill 3 or 4 18-wheelers full of stuff. I mean, it's pretty bad. So with that said, I'm not going out there searching, looking through your backyards, flying drones, or anything else that I've read online. I am getting complaints from neighbors, I am validating them, seeing where they're at, and moving forward. And I am very transparent, very open to everything that I do. So if there's ever any questions, any comments, any concerns, any just random thoughts about the ordinance, please call me. I want to answer your questions. I don't want to be policing your neighborhood. The police department's not going out there measuring your grass. The fire department's not looking out, looking at your front yard to see if you have an unregistered vehicle. It's no other department besides me and whatever I receive for complaints, and what I may see going through town. Like I said, there was one home today in town that I saw get cleaned up, and the other day when I actually came here to interview, this house is one of the very first homes you see when you drive over, and it's right there in front of you. It's in bold, it's in fluorescent, it's there. You can't miss it. And to see bags of trash laying on the railroad tracks, and seeing dumpsters being full and being stuffed all around it because they're not being picked up. I mean, those are the things that we're looking for. We want to make sure this community is a community and it's home for you. And it's not just a place that you're staying and then moving on. A lot of these out-of-state landlords come in, they buy properties. It's not just here, it's in my other communities I've worked in. They buy these properties sight unseen and they just rent them out. We're looking, there's one property in here in town that I just found out about. It doesn't even, there's half the apartment building does not even have running water. Without this code, I have a hard time doing anything about it. This gives me the tools to compel them to do something about it for their tenants and for the health and safety of the residents of Winslow. So again, very transparent. If you need anything, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm here 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So whatever I can do for you.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else? 3 minutes. Please state your name.
My name is Fred Napick, and I live in Winslow, and I'm probably one of those people Eric was talking about. I went to a coffee with the manager meeting about a year ago, and they were talking about beautifying the city with flowers and stuff like that. And I kind of looked at her and said, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. Says, I drove by here, and there's a car in the backyard with trees growing through it. And you're thinking about putting in flowers. I says, why don't somebody clean up the backyard, which is in full view of the public street? Again, this has been there for decades. We're not talking about last week, last month. It did get an accident, a year ago. It's got trees growing through it. And she said, we can't do anything. I said, well, if you really want to improve this city, and I fully support this, then we need something like this. And it's just a few bad apples that make it bad for everybody else. Most of the people, their property looks very nice. And I'll throw out one thing too. I went on Facebook, and I saw that some people said, well, how about the needy people? How about the people that can't do things? I'll put my hand up, and I'm 76 years old. And if somebody that is truly needy and doesn't have the resources, I'll get up on the roof and help. Who else will do that to try to help their neighbor? Okay, that's what we need. We don't need more votes. We don't need this on another issue or something like this. This is for the community. We could all make this place a better place to live if we just do a little bit more. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Fred, what was your last name again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Napick.
Napick?
K-N-A-P-I-K.
Thank you.
Yeah? Yep, your turn.
Hi, my name is Anita Eisenhower. I'm a resident of Winslow. I just recently became aware of this. And I think for me, the worry is that it will become very much like some homeowners associations where someone will be riding around, Gladys will be riding around with some glasses saying their grass is over, 4 inches tall. I don't want Winslow to become that, okay? That's crazy. I'll volunteer and help people with their yards. I can mow lawns just as good as anybody else. I'll be glad to help, okay? I just don't want it to become a bizarre China-like experiment where people get mad at someone over something else and say, well, we're gonna call in and say there's a problem, and at least it will be bothersome to them. I don't want it to become that. I have no problem helping people either, so I was going to say I'm in the phone book. Yes, I'm old. yes. But my number is 649-8032, and anybody that wants to call me to come and help, mow lawns or, weed, some flower beds or something for someone who's truly in need, you can call me and I will come. Okay? I just don't want this to become some weird thing where people are measuring other people's grasses. That's a little weird to me. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just maybe Jim can keep a list of people that were willing to help needy people, and people,
Sure.
that maybe are disabled, can't get up and do things. Maybe he keeps the list.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, I'll just take a minute here, because we're behind. Jim explained it as best as anybody could have. This is going to be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and believe me, ma'am, people riding around looking at other people's homes and calling Jim, if they call honestly and give their name honestly, that's not going to be taken into consideration. If somebody's living beside you, beside Rocky, beside me, that has a property that is a mess, this is how this is going to work, okay? Nobody is going to ride around looking, and if people do, they're wasting their time. Winslow is not that. I have lived here all my life, as most of the people on this council have, and that's not what we're all about. But as Jim said, we had no means, zero means of enforcing anything. And this is what we believe to be a very fair and a very good start. I think it will work. All we can do is see. As you know, Facebook, you can put a picture of an elephant and 90% of the people will swear it's a dog, the other will be a cat. I mean, I can't take that into much consideration, but I can take your opinions face to face into a lot of consideration, because you have come here tonight to speak, okay? So again, my name, my number is a matter of public. I will talk to anybody from 5 in the morning till 5 at night, 7 days a week.
So for transparency, if people report this, then there could be a record of that for the town. I would hope that we could have that transparency.
I don't know if it's proper or legal to be sharing the public's complaints with the entire public. That is not my call to make. That would be, Erica would have to research that. I don't know.
It's not a criminal charge, man.
Right.
But if there's a fine associated with the search.
It's still not a criminal charge. Therefore,
If
judicial laws do not apply.
if a fine is unpaid, would the town not put a lien against the property and then take the property from the owner?
No, if it's
unpaid forever?
If it's unpaid forever, that's a possibility, but we haven't even gotten to that point yet. I mean, right now, you get a notice, if it's grass, and let me tell you that it's 10 inches for residences and only in the highly populated areas, 10-inch grass is almost up to your knees. So I don't think we're gonna see most people with that. And the ones that are that way are the ones that they're not even at their properties. So, but if you have somebody that's regularly calling in, the CEO is going to be overseeing that. We believe it, I'm sure you believe it. There are certain people that call us on a myriad of things and call regularly. And those are the people that you're like, yep, that's Edith. We know what's going to be about the catch basin in front of her house, okay? If you have a neighbor that is continually calling about your property and the code officer's going out there and finding that there's not really anything to complain about, I'm pretty sure after the first time or two, he's going to stop taking the trip out there, because we've got a lot better things for him to be doing. Grass is not like everybody's latched onto the grass. That's not our primary focus. So no, because it's needed in the high populated areas. It is absolutely necessary down Bay Street, down Benton. We are not going to attract businesses into this town if I've got businesses with 4-foot tall weeds because the property owners don't want to take care of them, okay? That is a totally different thing than the person whose yard gets a little bit long, okay?
So if a property owner, I'm just repeating so I can understand that we're on the same page. If a property owner purchases a piece of property before this law goes into effect, and they want to have instead of having a yard of grass, with it's a specific species of grass,
they want to have wild frontage for the bee, to support the bee population, because bees are very important to farming, and Maine is an agricultural state. Because that natural foliage that, or I don't know what you would want to call it, I guess grasses, the natural grasses, would be over a certain height, there's no longer the, so you couldn't participate in the national, I forget what they call it, it's like a month where you let things grow up so the bees have pollen to get started.
Actually, there's a section in the ordinance that speaks specifically to that type of thing. It is not going to be in the highly populated areas, though, because we also have a big rat problem in the highly populated areas. We have mice problems, and I've got just as many people who complain about that coming over their property lines. Snakes, all kinds of things. So if you are in the high-density residential area or the area up along our most populated areas, the map, which Jim is working on getting that up online, right? But it follows our firearms discharge map. If you live in those areas, then yes, it applies to you. Again, he's not going looking. If you want to plant stuff for the pollinators, there are tons of wildflowers that you can plant that do not apply to the grass height limit. There's lots of ways to help pollinators without just letting your yard get overgrown.
Okay, we've reached our time limit on, these discussions really should have taken place when we were putting this ordinance together. And again, if you'd like to speak, sir, before you leave, I'll give you my card. You can call me anytime between those hours, and I'll sit down hours with you. But right now, we have to move forward with this.
Ray just had two things to say here. Ray Caron's our District 4 counselor. He wants to say we can always make adjustments if needed in the future, which we did discuss when we put this ordinance together, and we welcome any suggestions to improve.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have no tabled business, we have no old business, so on to new business. Order number 16-2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to sign the amended agreement between the town of Winslow and the Maine Public Employee Retirement System effective July 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none?
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Guerian.
Yeah.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. I forgot what the date was, April. I get too many papers.
You're fine.
Order number 17, 2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to contract with Hank Farah Consulting for an amount not to exceed $14,000 for pre-audit services for fiscal year 23 year-end audit.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry,
Any-
who was the second? Jeff,
Jerry and Jeff.
thank you.
Any discussion? There being none?
Roll call vote, Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Guerian.
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Erica, is there any need for waiving the second reading on these?
No, we'd be starting this in about June, so if you have your second reading in May, we'll be just fine. I would point out that that is the same price that Hank charged us this year, so he is not raising his fee to us.
Order number 18-2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to execute an agreement for HR and labor legal services with the firm of Pretty Flaherty per the attached proposal and engagement letter.
So moved.
Was that
Second.
Jerry? And Dale?
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Do you need that one?
Excuse me?
If it was the pleasure of the council, that one would be beneficial. We do have some pressing things to get locked down with our personnel policy and our, some other policies that we haven't ever written yet that we need their help with.
I'm ready, I'm good.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
we do the motion to waive
No.
first.
No, first reading.
Oh,
No, you
first
gotta-
reading first, okay, sorry.
Do you need, excuse me, do you need this second reading
We just,
done tonight as well?
Well, that's what Jeff was
That's what she was
asking,
saying,
so.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
After the first reading.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we're still learning, right?
Well,
Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
yes.
Make a motion, we forego the second reading.
Second.
Discussion? There being none?
Perfect. Dale.
Yes?
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. And Resolution 6, 2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to proclaim April 30th through May 6th Professional Municipal Clerks Week.
So move.
Second. Discussion?
None?
Nope.
Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Jerry Kurian.
Yeah.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. And then we're on to discussion, Spirit of America.
So Spirit of America, I just sent out the latest update from Bruce Flaherty. Last year, all of you provided nominations. We discussed nominations in this forum, and then you all sent me, you voted individually so that you wouldn't sway each other. You all sent your votes directly to me. So we knew who we were going to select. We can select as many recipients as we want. This is about volunteerism. If anybody has any nominations tonight, that's great. If not, and you could get them to me within the next couple of weeks, that would be appreciated. We need to have them submitted to Spirit of America by the beginning of June, so we're kind of coming down to the wire on that. So,
They're gonna be in by when? Middle of June, you said?
yes.
Okay.
A couple months ago, I mentioned to the council that last year's recipients hadn't received anything. I've been informed that within the last week, they have gotten very nice, beautiful letters from the Secretary of State's office confirming what we did last year.
One thing I would propose going forward is that we do have, after you all have voted, that we actually have the presentation at a council meeting that gets us gold status with the Spirit of America. None of this costs anything. It's all about recognizing volunteerism and community engagement. So it's just a nice thing to do for the people who really have been giving back. So.
Uncollected ambulance fees.
That was Lenny's item, and he's not here. I can tell you what the gist of it was. So the uncollected, he wanted to know about going to a collection agency when we can't collect the fees. And we've always said that for Winslow residents, we weren't going to try and recoup those monies. But for non-Winslow residents, the question is, do we want to pursue collecting those fees just like Deltawood or I don't know what other communities around us do. there's a couple of different ways to look at this. One is that if you don't want to pay your bill, all you got to do is just not pay. The other way to look at it is that it's a life and safety issue, and we don't want to be unduly burdensome to people who need that service. So I told him we should put it on as a council agenda item because I know there's a lot of different feelings about how we go about that. And I know Winslow residents have always been off the table. I told Lenny that we really don't want to be chasing down our own residents for a service they already pay for in their taxes. But if you're not a Winslow resident, I don't know how the council feels about that.
Through the chair, what's the percentage of non-Winslow residents that are on this list? If you can answer it.
Well, it's not only that question, Rocky, but two, I'm gonna assume, what's the percentage of non-residents who we bill, and Medicare only pays their Medicare allowable rates, which are very low.
And that's what I'm asking.
So are we going after non-residents who are on Medicare? What's the percentage of that group and the whole thing? If those numbers are small, probably not worth going after. And I'm gonna assume those numbers are probably small.
Well, look, the accounts receivable on the ambulance side runs anywhere between 100 to 125,000 every month.
Not by the month, you know. That's-
No, year to date.
Year to date.
Yeah, year to date. It's the same every month. I think it would be worthwhile to look into, but Lenny's not here, we don't have any answers to our questions. I personally believe that even if you take 10% of that, it may be people that are not, just have forgotten. I mean, they've been through trauma, obviously, if they needed an ambulance ride. Maybe they just forgot to submit it to their insurance company. We don't know that, because we don't go after anything. Again, I think we should wait, probably table this, or put it on the agenda for next month. And in the meantime, I'm sure Len can come up with some more answers as to what these percentages are. As far as Winslow residents, I believe they pay for the service through their tax base, so, but again, we don't know. So we really can't have much further discussion with no answers.
And most companies that do the collecting, I believe it's based on if they collect, that'd be the only time there'd be a fee, is that correct?
Usually
Or
a
that's-
collection agency will charge a percentage of whatever they collect for you.
Correct.
Sometimes they will add that on as an addition to what the people owe, so that the customer gets back their full amount of money and the collection agency gets their fee,
Yeah.
which the customer pays for. There's a lot of different ways it's done. You know, this is one, I did not have a whole lot of appetite for it when it was brought to my attention. I do tend to kind of feel like, usually when you get that ambulance bill, it's a pretty big shock to begin with. And usually, I mean, there may be some people out there who call the ambulance when they don't need it, but I think most people, when the ambulance comes, they really need it. So I would say, you know, we can do some research, look at the numbers. I do agree that there are some people that just forget about it, or it's not that they can't pay. And again, is that really fair to the people that they got their bill and they just paid it?
Sure, no, but we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Do we know who the billing company bills?
Yes,
When it comes in, do they bill the patient, or do they bill the patient's insurance company?
both.
They do them both.
Yeah. Insurance gets billed first, and whatever's left over
Mhm.
goes to the patient.
Why don't we wait and get more answers?
Oh, yeah, no, we need more facts and numbers and whatever.
So could you kind of get me the exact things you want me to have investigated as far as,
Yep.
you want to know the percentage of,
Well, are we gonna concentrate just on out-of-town people? Yeah, we're gonna throw the residents, no, we will not go after them.
Geez.
The
Let's
number-
wait and see, let's wait and get the answers. I mean, would it be worth a phone call, just a phone call to residents and saying, did you submit this, or, are you, if you're incapable of paying, okay. But it might be worth a phone call. But again, I'm not gonna suggest anything until I have some answers. We don't know.
And I believe, Scott, people can call in now and have their bill forgiven if they can't pay, is that correct?
That's true. I've had not many, but a few people who, a lot of them are the elderly people who are on fixed income. And the woman called me not long ago. She said, I have a bill from you for this amount of money and a larger bill from another company that took her. We brought the patient to the hospital and they brought the patient to the admitting hospital and she couldn't pay both bills. So I said, don't worry about Winslow. We're just, and I had medical reimbursement, just write it off.
Did you check whether or not that was a Winslow resident?
It was.
It was, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
And was that after the insurances had paid, Scott, or did she have no insurance at all? It was
yes,
after?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What medical reimbursement will do is they'll bill the insurance company, and then we'll send, whatever's left over, they'll send that bill to the person who used the service. And a lot of, this is an aging population here, and a lot of them are on fixed incomes. But then also, there are a lot of people that do pay those bills. And I think the majority of the people who struggle are that aging population in their fixed income. But yeah, they can call me and we can have a conversation. I just go through that reimbursement.
Okay, thanks.
Bank services.
I'm gonna have Tanya help me out with this one. So she and I had a meeting with our current provider, which is Bangor Savings. One of the easy questions is that we have, on our primary bank accounts, not the library trustee accounts, but our primary accounts, we only have one signer, which is Tanya. And it's kind of been that way for a long time. Not that it's just Tanya, but we've had one person that signs on these accounts. The question becomes, if something happens to Tanya, how much rigmarole do we have to get through to be able to sign checks and things like that, because we don't have any additional
Take an
signers
act of
identified.
Congress.
So the thought being that, does council want us to look at getting more signers on this account? We didn't want to do it without council input because there's a separation of duties there that also goes towards our financial, our risk assessment. So the fewer people you have on accounts, the better. But at the same time, not having any backup seems a little bit risky as well.
Ridiculous. Okay. I would make I'm sorry, you done?
On that little piece of it, I am.
Okay. Well, to hit on that real quickly, I would suggest a minimum of 2, even 3 people to be able to sign on the general account for the town. Yep, okay.
Does you signing conflict with the separation of duties?
We get a note in our audit every year that I do have a certain amount of my hand in the financials. We try to keep things as separated as possible so that I only do the audit work and the reconciliation work, but I give Tanya orders to make journal entries. I'm not the one doing it, so there's a separation of duty there, but yes, it is somewhat considered a conflict that the town manager is involved in the financials. However, in Maine, it's fairly common in the smaller communities because there aren't enough staff, and you have to wear
Well,
multiple
I
hats.
just, I guess my point would be Tanya and you two.
That's what I would suggest.
Before me, the town manager actually was the signer. I took over for the town manager. He was the treasurer, and I am now a certified treasurer. That's the only reason I am the signer on all the accounts. I would like another person, but I guess it's up to you guys as to who and how many you want to be on the accounts.
I mean, do you think it would be detrimental, Tanya, to have 3?
Oh, no, I mean, like she said, if anything happens to me, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know, that,
Well, if
nobody
it takes-
can sign our payroll or our checks. It's just strictly me right now. So it would be nice to have
I wouldn't
one
go
or two.
over big.
But that still only requires one signature. There could be one out of the 2 or 3, or all 3 of you don't have to sign.
No,
No.
it's,
No.
there's only certain people who are identified as having the authority to sign, but you only need one signature.
Authorized signatures on an account, you know, all that takes is a signature of Tanya to authorize whomever.
That's how I'd go. That's how I proceed with it.
That's how I would as well. But Erica has more, if you
Yeah.
guys are done with that.
Yeah, and help me not forget any of this, Tanya.
Well, I know one of it is the money market account.
Yep.
Right now, we currently have a money market that, I actually reached out to the town manager today. There's a little over 104,000 in there, but we have no idea why we opened the money market. So we didn't know what you guys wanted to do with the money market, because right now the money market is gaining 0.60% when they actually have a 15-month CD that actually gains a little over 3% right now for that amount of money. So
What's the purpose of that fund? What's the-
no one knows. It was opened in 2009 by the former town manager and the former secretary before me. And nobody seems to know why it was opened and what it's for.
I have a guess.
What's your
Right.
guess?
The guess would be, so it's fairly common for towns to invest a portion of their fund balance that's surplus to allow it to gain interest and make some money. This is new to me because I've never had to do that before, but in talking to some of the other town managers, they're like, yes, most of us do invest the money, not all of it, you don't invest all your fund balance, but if you have above and beyond what you need to have in reserve, a lot of them will take the remainder and put it in an interest-bearing account or put it in a CD or some other investment tool. The CD is safe, that's one nice thing about a CD. I can't remember what she said the percentage was on it.
0.3%.
No, this was better.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, like I said, it earns 0.60%. If we do it in a 15-month CD, it's 3.75%.
375?
Yeah,
What's the term of that CD?
15 months.
15 months. I would make the suggestion, just to clean things up, I would put that 100,000 right in fund balance. I mean,
Is that the interest? Are we taxable on the interest on that?
I'm told we're not taxable for anything, so.
No.
Not on that, we're not.
3% is $37 a year.
370. It's 100,000.
Okay. Man.
What do you think?
I would do it, quite frankly. The money's been sitting there set aside, it's a committed fund.
You want to leave it?
I wouldn't leave it in the money market, no. I'd roll it in over to something that actually makes some money for the town. You know, we know we've got a lot of needs, and that's another income source, and the interest in it goes straight to revenues, so that offsets our expenditures.
Throw it in this year's budget.
Jeez.
Yeah, make that happen that quickly.
Through the chair, what does our balance, our fund balance, what do we invest that in now?
You don't.
You don't.
We don't.
No, it's
Just
in,
in a-
the majority of it's in what's called a, well, it's in our regular business account, and then there's a sweep account, and Tanya's better at explaining that than I am. But it's only earning money to the extent that it's a bank account that earns a small amount of interest. We are getting, what are we getting now, about 40, we're getting a lot more interest than we were.
Right, we were getting 1.2% on that, and we're now getting 2.4.
On the fund balance account?
Yes, on the general account.
I would, again, I'm just suggesting, but to clean up bookkeeping, why do we have 100,000 stashed away that nobody knows anything about? Put it in fund balance. Fund balance is pulling, what, 2.7, you said?
2.4.
2.4.
Now, 2.4.
Just clean the bookkeeping up. So they're both
That's why we're
saving,
here
they're both
to
saving,
By you guys.
right?
Yeah.
It's a higher yield, and of course, the longer you go, the higher the yield is.
Yeah, but you're not talking a lot of money.
What would you put in a brokerage account? Could the city put it in a brokerage account?
No, we, broker, because
No,
brokerage is not,
too risky. No, you
we,
can't.
yeah, we can't risk public funds.
How about treasuries, US treasuries?
That's what they talked to us about, was treasury bonds and CDs. So, I guess we'll move on from that. The fraud prevention services, we don't currently have set up. ACH alerts, positive pay, which we can't do on our current platform. But what that is it matches checks presented for payment against previously submitted data that's already in the system. So it's a double check to make sure someone hasn't basically made their own checks with our account number on it, and they're using them, which that happened in City of Lansing to me. It was a lot of fun. The guy was very stealthy. First, he was writing like $25 checks, $30 checks. Then he hit us with the $10,000 check.
Then he moved the decimal point, huh?
Yeah, so that's fun when that happens. So the services are available. I'm not sure.
What's the cost of the service?
Okay, so the ACH alerts, that allows us to reject unauthorized ACH items. That's $30 per month per account, but they said that we get a discount after the first account.
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
And this is only for going out of the account, not coming into the
Right.
account.
Because if it's coming in, we're perfectly happy with it coming in.
Yes.
Just don't want it going out. The positive pay is $50 per month per account, and again, they said that we get a discount on the second.
I think that's money well spent. How many accounts are we talking about?
Seven?
$210 a month? That's,
Has it ever been an issue?
no, but man, if it is.
Yeah, that,
And in today's internet world, phew,
well, the quality of the average printer these days can produce some pretty good fake checks. It used to be a lot harder, but we haven't had an issue with it yet. I mean, we do. Part of that, though, is Tanya goes through everything coming out of our accounts. I go over it again, and Sherry does our bank reconciliations. So we do have a lot of chances to catch something, but again, if you pick something up, it's after the fact. This is supposed to head it off before the fact. So, I mean, we make enough in interest to cover those charges and still be making interest if y'all wanted to go that way. And the other service that they offered that I'm not really so sure, and I'm not sure how Tanya feels about it, they talked to us about remote deposit capture. That would allow us to deposit our checks right there at the desk. Each clerk could have a scanner and it runs their checks through. It's basically an automatic feeder, and the checks go straight to the bank. You keep the checks in-house for like 3 months. They go directly to the bank and get deposited without us going there. Now, for us, Bangor Savings is right up the street. It's not very far, and it doesn't help us with our cash, which we do still collect quite a bit of cash. So I'm not sure that that helps us all that much.
you
Plus, I
gotta go
don't
to the
think you
bank
can,
anyway, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Deposit the
plus I
check.
don't think you can deposit over a $5,000 check that way. Because we use that service, and we're not allowed to do anything over 5,000 on a single check.
There's,
They didn't tell us any limits
They-
ourselves, because right now, obviously, when we go to the bank, we are charged per check.
right.
So right now, we're charged 14 cents per check that we deposit. If we did our own remote deposit capture, it's 8 cents per check. They just told us that it's a $50 a month fee, and then we have to buy the machine outright, which is $1,300, comes with a warranty. But, I mean, Audra would probably know more about how the girls feel about this, but like she said, like Erica said, no matter what, we still have to go to the bank. So we may be able to run our checks as they come in, but I still have to go and deposit the cash every day.
It reduces the fees a little bit on the front end, but
Right.
doesn't reduce $50 worth of fees. And I think what they were showing us, we were running up in the $70 to $80 range in fees
Right.
per month. So this would reduce that.
We
but
get a
it's not
we
as
get a
huge,
majority of our
so-
checks during, obviously, when the taxes are due and the sewer comes due. But other than that, we don't get too many. A lot of people are paying with cash or with card. So
And do you typically go to the bank every day?
we go to the bank every day.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say not to bother with that.
I don't think we had anything else on these, did we, Tanya?
I think that was it. A lot of it is just my online, how I pay ACHs online, just to get another user, I guess,
Yeah.
to be a second to approve my transactions that I do online myself.
And that would logically come up
Correct.
the chain, so, and I don't think council really needs to weigh in on that, but we wanted to get your feeling on particularly how we invest additional monies that are above and beyond what we have. And if we can get them into a higher yield account, that's kind of where we'd like to go with that. So we won't go forward with the CD. The account that we're moving to is a higher yield, so,
Correct, and we did do that, yes.
yeah, but I made that decision unilaterally. I just looked into it, so.
Okay.
Okay, PSAP services.
That again was Lenny. So Waterville has given us an initial estimate of what it's going to cost for them to act as our PSAP. So you all know we have lost Somerset. There are only 4 PSAPs in the state right now because of the whole consolidation that went on, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, something like that. Waterville used to be a PSAP, but now there's only 4 of them in the state, and we were using Somerset because we don't have one in Kennebec County. Penobscot County doesn't have one. They're sending their 911 calls all the way up to Aroostook. Pretty much nobody's local. Augusta has absolutely 0 capacity to add us on. So Waterville came up with a proposal of what it would cost if they reopen as a PSAP. They have all the infrastructure already, but they would need to hire people to continue providing the services that they already provide for us, the dispatch services, and add on the 911 side that Somerset used to do, will be a grand total of $163,000 per year. split between
163?
163, which is about $30,000 higher than what we currently pay to both Waterville and Somerset.
We have little or no choice.
That's my feeling as well, but I wanted you all to be aware of it because this is coming in after I already presented the budget to you. But there's not, it's not like there's a bidding war out there that we've got different places to go. I mean, Somerset just plain doesn't want to spend the money outside of Somerset anymore. And they're having trouble hiring, so they're just not going to do it. So we're kind of out of luck there.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was Waterville using Somerset as well, and they got basically kicked out as well?
Correct.
I don't think
No.
They were using Somerset for their 911, I think.
Yeah, they were.
All right, and
They
then
were.
Yes.
another question I had was, that 163, would that basically, that would be our cost, but would Winslow be the only user?
No. No, that's split up among the other towns in the immediate area that,
The other communities that will be joining?
yeah, so like
us?
Oakland would be in there. Fairfield wouldn't because they're Somerset. So
Okay.
Somerset is keeping them.
Okay,
Um,
but there will be other communities that will be joining us as well? And how are they figuring out the cost sharing? Is it based on,
They haven't given me a letter yet. All I've gotten is a lump sum number, and supposedly the town manager's gonna be calling me about it.
because I know I personally would like to see how they come up with that number, if it's based on per resident or size or capacity or?
I believe it's somewhat based in call volume, and maybe some of the fire guys here can speak to that,
Yeah,
but,
it should be call volume.
yeah.
That's how Fairfield paid, even into Somerset, was call volume.
So,
And again, we have no choice, Lee.
Right, I understand
There's
that.
nobody else we can even apply to.
Well, I know if any one of us were given a lump sum that we had to pay, we want to know details and want to know breakdown on how this is done before we agree to it, regardless if we have no choice or not. Because that is a pretty hefty chunk.
I'll give you guys more information as I get it. I just wanted you all to be aware this is coming. Because the truth is, yes, I agree, we want the breakdowns, but it's what we're gonna be paying. So, I may have the ability to say, can you give us a break here and there, but I doubt I'm gonna have much leverage on that, so. But again, I haven't even had the discussion with the town manager yet. This came to us through Sean Essler. It was just, or no, it came, not Sean Essler, Chief.
Bonnie.
Yep. So, and he said that the town manager would follow up, but that was their preliminary estimate of what it would cost.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, executive session. Motion to enter into an executive session pursuant to 1 MSRA subsection 4056A, personnel matter.
So moved.
Second.
That